Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Couch Buddies. I am Blade.
And I am DJ.
And we have a brand new Couchisode this week. We had a nice one last week. We talked about a very well-known monkey. Not monkey, gorilla.
Yes.
To be more precise.
Yes.
A few barrels. I had a large mistake at the start, and I won't give that to you again. Okay? So,
Okay.
We have any news, DJ?
No, you made a mistake. I guess that's the news.
That's the news. See? Nothing happened this week. Nothing. Except...
Look, it was no. Wait. This weekend was very good.
Yeah.
It was a very, let's say, an eventful weekend where we saw a lot of news on this weekend's BlizzCon, or this year's BlizzCon. And it was a very, very good, very interesting weekend for me, that I was able to see the new things coming, and seeing this huge focus on retro gaming from Blizzard. But I guess we'll have to talk about this, later at some other time, because now we have to go for our regular
retro stuff. And I have to tell you something. Do you know how I got to know what was going on at BlizzCon this year?
Facebook. I was writing you on chat.
Yeah. You were just mentioning everything in the chat, and I was like putting the kid to sleep and had the phone on the other hand, and wow, and it was like, bleh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was watching pretty much everything during Friday and Saturday. I have to say I didn't watch much of the content on Sunday, but everything is available there. So if anyone out there wants to see what's happening with the upcoming releases of Blizzard, just drop it there. Just because me and Blade are just Blizzard fanboys, that's why we would have a blast on a discussion about this.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, let's move forward.
Okay, let's talk about good old games then, shall we?
That's the name of a company, but yes, those are good old games, definitely.
So, DJ, who starts this week? Me? You?
I feel like No, I don't. You start.
Okay, I'll start again. So,
hey,
let's start with something weird this week. And let's go back to the days of 1988 to a great PC game called Caveman Olympics.
Oh, Olympics.
You played this one.
Well, no, I didn't. I actually didn't even know anything about the game. But you talked about it, and I think I saw something about this game. But I think the concept, I mean, even if I didn't know it completely,
you can get the idea.
Just by the title, I mean, I would assume that it's cave people's Olympics.
Yeah, maybe. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. No, but this was a cool game. It was an Olympics game, basically. You could play with 1 or 2 players, and it had a few events that were just weird. You had like the hammer toss, but it wasn't a hammer toss. You had the mate toss. You brought your mate, you just dragged it to the circle, spinning around, and there goes your mate flying the maximum distance you could. It was weird.
And basically, so that means grabbing your mate. So I'm assuming the guy that is throwing the mate, it's the male. So it's the guy throwing the wife.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
No, it was typical for cavemen.
What if a game like that would come out today, man?
Yeah. No, but you had other events completely different. You had the pole vault, which was awesome because you had the dinosaur stretching its neck to become taller, so you had a taller jump. And the way they got the neck to go up was with a stick, with a piece of meat, just wiggling it in front of the dinosaur with the man above his head, and he will just stretch his head just to get the height up. It was fun. You had other stuff. You had the saber-tooth run, where you were running from a saber-tooth and you had obstacles. You had the dinosaur race where you rode a dinosaur, just a simple race.
That's called.
You had the fire one where you were stood in front of a fire with someone at your side, and you just had to lit a fire faster, and you could hit them in the head to prevent them from winning. It was fun.
I was hearing you talking about running in front of a saber-tooth, and I was thinking that's motivation.
That's really good. Some serious motivation.
Yeah, man. That's. I mean, you would run as fast as Francis Obiquelo, most likely. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Note that I didn't mention Usain Bolt because we are Portuguese, so Francis Obiquelo is
Yeah.
the best. The
Oh
best.
yeah. You own it, dude. And no, seriously, this was a fun game at the time. It was hard as nails because the mechanics didn't quite work as they should, and the timing for everything just didn't work quite well. But you eventually got the hang of it, and it was fun to play with friends because you would just spend the whole time laughing. The game was just fun to play. And
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
if you
if-
can get this nowadays, but if you can get your hands on this, just try it out. It isn't a super game, but it's enjoyable. It's fun.
I mean,
I
it's,
played
if it's a game that you compete against others by making fire,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very, very much fun because that sounds ridiculous to me.
And
but
if you
but
win
hey,
every
hey.
event, it means you're on fire.
Ah, right. Oh, sorry, we're back to your jokes now. Ah, okay.
Back to
thought
my
that
attempt at a joke.
I thought you actually were on fire, like someone would come out and put
Nah.
you on fire.
Yeah, that would be a nice idea for an event in the game.
I mean, we could do that with so many games in the world,
Oh,
to
yeah.
be honest. Like, some of them were really, really good. Some others weren't. I mean,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, I think that's I'm going to grab that segue from you. And I'm going to talk also about the game. And this was a game for the arcades. Initially, but
Okay.
we'll get into that. And it's like... So, guys, I'm sorry about what I'm going to do right now. But this is going to be kind of like a very unpopular opinion. And I hope we don't lose any subscribers because it... But today, I'm going to talk about a horrible Sonic game. Yes, take some time to sink it in. I know it's, but they existed. And I mean, okay, if we would ask anyone right now directly, and I'm gonna ask you, what was for you or in your opinion, again, your personal opinion, what was the worst Sonic game that you've ever played? Humblade?
I pretty much enjoyed them all. I won't say that it
Really?
was the worst one. You had the Sonic Racer I actually didn't like too much because it wasn't my kind of game, but other than that...
Sonic Car?
Yeah.
Okay.
I played it, but it just wasn't my thing.
Okay, so
But it
I guess
wasn't
that,
bad. It just wasn't my thing.
Popular opinion, and I have my Sonic favorites, of course, but this is it's not it. Although it's something that we say that you guys should play the games and have your own opinions. Some of them, I mean, you see the same opinion shared by a lot of people. It doesn't mean that everybody hates the game, but disputedly, Sonic R was probably one of the worst rated Sonic games that ever came out. It's like, some of the Final Fantasy versions. Some people say that it's horrible. Some others say that they loved it. It's not the point. The thing is that when I thought that was actually the worst Sega game, sorry, not worst Sega game, the worst Sonic game ever, I was doing some research lately, and I found out that there is actually a worse game than Sonic R. And I thought that I just basically stumbled on this on a video I was watching on YouTube the other day. I had not played the game at all. I didn't even know the game itself. But what I'm going to talk about today, it's definitely probably worse than Sonic R, and it's Sonic Fighters from 1996. So this was for the arcade first, and this was developed by Sega AM2. This initially was an arcade game, and then later on was released in consoles. But let's talk a bit about that. And this was that time that arcade fighting games were on the top, and pretty much any company that could develop a decent one would have almost granted a shot at success. I mean, I wouldn't say it's pretty easy because there were bad fighting games. But, Sega, I mean, obviously here, Sega already had this title with the Virtua Fighter being, total revolutionary fighting game. And it was released in 1993 in the arcade. So Sega was kind of already into this path, and they were already pretty much respected by the quality of the fighting games that they were bringing out. But I guess they didn't want to stop there. And then, at some point, someone just said, hey, let's just make a fighting game with Sonic characters. And someone that has maybe the IQ of a pigeon said, yeah, good idea. Let's do it. I mean, look, they use the same Virtual Fighter engine to bring life to the 3D beat 'em up that this game is, where regardless of if the characters are actually friendly with each other or not, you gotta beat the crap out of them. So yeah, that's right, boys. You can beat the shit out of Tails, that adorable little creature. Which, to me, it just sounds horrible. And you know what? But actually, he deserves to be beaten. And I'll tell you why he deserves to be beaten. Because the reason why everybody needs to fight each other is because Tails, on this plot, on the plot of this game, on the story, built a ship that only has one seat. And that ship is necessary to actually go and defeat Dr. Robotnik. So, shame on you, Tails. You should be beaten. Sorry about that. You know, even the original story of this game, they screwed up by adding one more Chaos Emerald. So, yeah. So, it's not 7, now it's 8. One more Chaos Emerald. And you'll have to win the fights to get those gems. And each one being kept by each one of the characters that you fight against, including Sonic and Tails. There's a couple of new characters introduced in the story that never actually made an appearance ever again in any Sonic Sonic games. Like Bark and Bean, which had like broken mechanics that would just make the game completely unbalanced. And we know that no fighting game is ever going to be considered like balanced. You know, but Sonic Fighters is just unbearable. The last boss before Dr. Robotnik, that is Metal Sonic. I'm not sure. I've probably seen it before. It's just absolutely impossible. I mean, in addition to all of this, there was the fact that many of the game reviews actually classified it as obscure and odd. The set of movement and abilities are very limited. Some of them are copied from one to the other. For example, Sonic and Knuckles have pretty much the same abilities, and they are two independent fighters. And the movements and the animations were very bland and boring. I guess that, you know, this is pretty much what you see being brought from the engine of a dated game like Virtual Fighter, because, you know, it was just 3 years after. But again, the world had moved on, and there was some newer things being brought up. There was, you know, better games coming up for sure. And if this,
you mentioned that the Sonic and Knuckles had basically the same moveset, but if you go to Street Fighter, Ryu and Ken were basically the same with slight differences.
Yeah, okay, but the thing is that they were pretty much, okay, if you want to talk about Street Fighter, they were trained by the same master, let's say. Yeah. And Sonic and Knuckles actually were different. Yeah. So Sonic was fast and Knuckles was strong. So you would expect that at least some of the things would be different there. But I don't see the same similarity between Ryu and Ken in Street Fighter. But you know, but fine, fair point. But if this wasn't enough, like this already being like this as it was, they tried it again in 2005 in the GameCube and PlayStation 2, and then they tried it again on 2012 with the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox. I believe it was the 360 probably. Don't know, but it was one of the Xboxes at that period. And you know, I mean, yeah, the game reviews are like again. We always say that don't go for the game reviews and play it for yourself. I did. I didn't want to go by the game reviews, but I'm gonna tell. I played the HD version, which is the one that came out in 2012. It's actually available on the Microsoft Store for like $4.99. So $4.99. And you know, it has multiplayer. So if you want something that it's a relatable story or set of characters, but you don't have your expectations too high about this fighting game, yeah, I mean, go right ahead and try it. But honestly, the game itself, to me, I think it was just an attempt of Sega to capitalize on a very famous genre, again, joining or against their own characters that they had on the Sonic series, which was pretty much, you know, a sales buster. You know, basically, Sonic sold a lot. You know, it's as iconic as Mario for the Nintendo. So again, guys, I mean, take a look at it. I don't find it anything special, to be honest. And I think for me, it's the worst game of the Sonic series. So that's my opinion,
I didn't know this
guys.
One, I have to tell you. But pitting the actual characters that wouldn't make sense in a game against each other, Nintendo actually managed this pretty well in actually a pretty awesome series that is Smash Bros.
Super Smash.
But it was properly done. The
yeah,
awesome.
I mean,
it's seriously awesome.
there's not even the comparison because Super Smash Bros. is a multiplayer game. Although this one is also a multiplayer. Smash Bros. is a multiplayer game, but it has at least 4 players on the screen. You can actually play it with more, and it's awesome. It's a fun family. I would say family game because it's like between each other. And despite that, it's a beat 'em up. In the end, it's a fighting game, right? Yeah. But despite that, it doesn't really bring that sensation of violence because you have Mario on one side, you have Peach on the other, you have I don't know who else.
You have basically
King Bowser.
You have Pikachu, you have Mewtwo. Actually.
Yeah. I mean, I can only remember Mario characters. Sorry, but anyways, but they did that very well. It was not like this, and this wasn't even that same style. I mean. It was not. It was just simple an arena and
the mechanics of Smash Brothers is completely different from any other beat 'em up. You can actually simply win the game by throwing your opponent flying out of the arena.
Oh yeah.
It's so cool.
No, it's an excellent series that we might even talk about maybe in 20 years when it's considered retro, I guess.
The N64 version is already considered retro, so we might talk about it soon.
I'm talking about the ones we have today.
Sonic R isn't that bad. I told you that it's probably the one I liked the least because it was not my thing, but I don't think it's a bad game.
It's as bad as people might want to consider it because this is open to interpretation and opinions.
Exactly.
I did not like it because it was not the genre that I was used to see Sonic and that I played Sonic for so long, right? So it was discarded by me because I didn't like the genre that it was. But that's exactly what can happen to a lot of games now. Yeah. Just because they change the basic of how the game works, can be pleasant to some people and might not be pleasant to others. But
it can completely kill the
exactly. So we have to move. We have to move on because it's not worth it to continue to talk about this game, guys. Take a look at it if you like. I didn't like it, but
Did you see the contradiction here? We slowly talked about the game, but has a very fast character.
Yes, but we had to discuss a lot of details
how bad this game is for DJ. You can even slow Sonic down.
And the thing is that the next game I'm going to talk about is actually a huge favorite of mine. So we got to wrap this up, otherwise I'm going to stay here for 2 hours and people got to go.
Let me go on then. I'll talk about the game, and it was a game that I quite enjoyed and quite frustrated me. It was a game from 1995, a strategy game, and it was called XCOM: Terror from the Deep.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure you know this one.
I can understand the frustration, and yes, I do know that one.
No, because this came after UFO Enemy Unknown, and the game mechanics were basically the same. They actually made the game very similar. And the events on this one happened 40 years in the future from UFO Enemy Unknown. And the story just goes by like, in the first game you destroyed the alien brain in Cydonia, if I remember right. And the transmitter remained active and it emitted a signal that revived aliens that were for millions of years in hibernation under the sea on Earth. And they just wake up and they start terrorizing the planet and the vessels in the water, so you have to reform the task force that had been dismantled in the first game because you actually won the war and there was no need for that team. And just start it all over again with new technology, but to face the aliens under the sea. And the aliens' ultimate goal in the game, if I recall right, was to resurrect Teles. That's how they got to Earth millions of years back. And this is basically the objective of the game. And this event, when they arrived on Earth, when they crashed and stood in this sleeping mode or whatever you can call it, this was actually what called the extinction of the dinosaurs. This was the so-called meteor that hit the Earth to kill the dinosaurs. This is the story. And you basically have to.
I had
to
no idea about the story.
I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but when you end this one, it actually sets everything up for the next game in the series called XCOM Apocalypse, but we're not going to talk about that now. Well, this game had exactly the same mechanics as UFO Enemy Unknown, but like I said, under the sea. All levels were underwater. And what frustrated me in this game is that it was horribly difficult, extremely difficult. The first one was challenging. This one was a headache to beat. But it was so satisfying when you completed the game because it was terribly hard. And it had the same mechanics. You built bases, you had the intervention submarines, you went to the spots where you had activity detected, you killed the aliens or captured them, investigated technologies, developed technologies to face the aliens, and you would equip your team better and better so you can face them more effectively in the future. And eventually you would get to that last moment where you had to kill Teles and set in motion whatever would happen after, that I'm not going to mention here because you'll have to play the game. You'll have to suffer playing this game with its terrible difficulty just to know what happens. Or you can just look up online and they will tell you. But it was awesome, and you can grab this one on GOG and still play it today. It's still awesome today.
I was going to say that. I'm pretty sure that this is still on GOG, most likely.
No, it is.
Yeah, I've played this extensively back. I don't know, but I would say it was late 90s. Not sure if I played it very close to the launch at that time. But anyways, yeah. I mean, it's difficult because. And I think that in general, turn-based games tend to be much more demanding, in terms of strategic decisions than real-time ones.
But that's why game actually did one thing that, when you shot an alien, you had a percentage that would auto-roll and see if you hit them or not. And the frustrating thing is when you were standing right in front of them, you pointed the gun at them like millimeters away, and you missed.
Yeah, but that's just representative in terms of that. It doesn't, that block in front, it doesn't mean that the guy is actually in front of you. This is actually...
no, but it was frustrating.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I totally see you on that frustration, so don't worry, man. I'm with you.
Sometimes you actually felt like you had stormtroopers in the game. Seriously.
Yeah, I think that the problem with the stormtroopers recently was found that it's not that they shoot bad. I mean, it's just the weapons that are very low quality. Those Empire budgets were not that big. So they didn't have great weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's an excellent game. I played it too. So let us go. Guys, on the comments if you did play it too and how did you enjoy it. And to wrap it up, I think I'm gonna try to be as quick as possible with this one. Although it's like a very, very favorite of, big favorite of mine. It's close to my heart and, so sweet. It's close to my heart and it's called Kirby's Dream Land from 1992. And this was for the Game Boy. This was developed by HAL and published by Nintendo. And of course I could not...
DJ, hold. You are going to talk about the console game. You, DJ.
Yes, I'm actually going to talk about the console game.
Wow.
As I said, I didn't have many consoles. But one that I had, besides the NES clone, was the Game Boy. And this was an original Game Boy that actually my mother bought me. I was going to say back in 1990, but I'm not really sure about the date. And it wasn't like the first game I had. So the first game I had was Tetris, because it came with the Game Boy. But I had this game maybe a few months later, and I think I got it on sale. I'm not mistaken. I'm not really sure. I know that I had it, and I absolutely adored it. It was my first Kirby game, and the first Kirby game that I played, and this was so much fun. And I know we say that a lot here, but this definitely elevates the so much fun part to another level. The plot here, and when I had back in my Game Boy, I didn't really care about the plots or anything about the games. So I'm kind of finding out, or I happened to find out like 10 or 15 years later what actually the games were about. And this made it even better. So it's about this character called Kirby that lives in this fictional world called Dreamland. That is, a star-shaped planet that is far, far away from Earth. And basically, he has to go on an adventure to find King Dedede. King Dedede. To get back all the food that he stole from Dreamland, along
with... He's in Smash Brothers.
Sorry?
King Dedede is on Smash Brothers, the new
one.
Oh
yeah. I've seen a trailer with him, I think. But anyways, so he had to get back the food and the sparkling stars that King Dedede had stolen from Dreamland. And gameplay wise, it's very accessible. It's very easy, even for those that are not really experienced like platformers. It just does these things. It sucks the enemies up, like he fills in the belly, and then he shoots them out. and uses that to destroy other enemies. So it's just that, and then jump, go for sideways, the same thing that you had. It's kind of like Mario stepping in on the Koopas, you know, like using them as a weapon. It's kind of like this, but you have much more control on that. So that's it. And all of this is accompanied by an excellent soundtrack that I used to listen with my headphones, because for those that actually don't know that, or actually might disagree with me, I think that Game Boy had a pretty good sound capabilities, to be honest. I really like the soundtracks for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said. Yeah, it was definitely. The game had some interesting particularities that it didn't have any save features. So when you finish the game once, you actually get a code to go through the game again, but this was at a much more increased difficulty level, which made the game quite impossible. And then a third time, if you would actually be able to beat the game in this difficulty mode, you'd get a third code, which you would be able to manipulate, like the vitality and the number of lives. So it was kind of like a cheat mode on if you finish the game 3 times. But again, there was no save state, so you had to do this with the console while on, because you couldn't actually do anything. So if you would turn off the console, this would get reset and you would have to start all over again. It's hardly unspoken, obviously, this game. It's one of the best titles ever for the Game Boy that, it holds its honor to this very day. In fact, I played it very recently, and I can tell you that 20 years later, or 20-something years later, I still have a lot of fun with it. Out of curiosity, I checked for the price of this for a full box set with everything, like a complete box with manuals and everything, and this goes for $130, like dollars. It's already becoming a very expensive game, to be honest. Yeah. It's a franchise that still releases titles nowadays. And in fact, just last year they released the Kirby Fighters 2, which was the successor to the Kirby Fighters Deluxe. This was for the Nintendo Switch. And it's kind of like a Smash Brothers type of game, this Kirby Fighters one, but just with Kirby characters. Yeah. It's a game that, unfortunately, guys, you'll have to emulate it. There's no other way. I don't find. I mean, unless you have a Nintendo Switch, I believe you can play this. But I don't.
You can only play the NES and SNES on the Switch so far.
Oh,
but Game Boy games would be a cool addition.
I saw someone online doing that.
If you can't find it anywhere, but get the game first. Never emulate the game you don't have.
Of course, no, of course. Try to get the game. Obviously, it's not it's almost kind of like a rare piece at this point. But you can give it a go.
The single card pretty cheap, but the complete set that will be expensive.
Yeah, the complete card.
Nintendo games
I think you can get it for like $20
nowadays, because they had those paper boxes that just crumbled in time, and most of them got destroyed in time. That's why those games with the full box sets have become so expensive, because they were hard to maintain in mint condition. Yeah, because the boxes were just.
It's that and many other reasons, I would guess, but that is one of them, definitely. A very favorite of mine, guys. If you have played it, let us know. As you already know, leave a like if you like, leave a dislike if you didn't like. Let us know in the comments if you would like us to talk about other games. If you would like to participate in the Couch Buddies, you know what to do. The link is right over there. So I guess it's time for us to say goodbye, right, Blade?
Yeah, and I have to tell you something, DJ. You actually made Kirby right there on the right bottom corner of our frame just blush a bit. You see that?
Yeah, man. I love him. He knows that.
Yeah. It's still, you touched him deeply there.
Oh, come on. Touched him.
No. So let's wrap this up. And don't forget, guys, subscribe the channel and tell your friends. Have them join the couch. Let's have all fun together talking about old games, because me and DJ are just old dudes talking about old games, because we're not that old.
Shh. We're a bit old. See you guys. See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Have fun and game on.